Hi, we are going to be making some paper flowers today. So here's a small version, well, smallish, fills up both my hands, paper flower. This is just construction paper, but you could use anything for this really. You could use like magazine pages if you'd like. You could even use newspaper if you wanted to cut that down to a more manageable size. We're going to be using scraps of different construction paper that I had laying around the house. So here's another one I wanted to show you. Well, here's another flower. This is a large dude. There's the inside of that. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So one time I spent 48 hours straight making paper flowers of all different kinds. So the first thing you're going to want to do is decide what kind of petal shape. Yeah, I used packaging again, like this was a seltzer box. So you want to figure out what kind of shape you want your petals to be. This oval shape is going to give you one more like the turquoise flower. This is the petal shape that I created for this purple one. It has like a little wave on the top edge. And the one that I'm going to be demoing for you today is going to be this leaf kind of shape. So I'm going to show you how I make those patterns, how I trace them, how I cut them, how I glue them, all the steps. So first things first, I'm going to just cut apart a box. This was, again, seltzer from Aldi. And you want to make at least a large one and a medium-sized one. If you want to go a little extra and have another layer in the inside, you want to make 3 sizes: large, medium, and small. And notice how each of these has like a little tail on the end, and that's going to help us with the gluing. So I'm going to make one of these in this size. I need a small one for this dude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of packaging, and I'm going to make a Google search flower petal clip art, flower patterns, and then do the image selection on my search. I'm just freehanding it. So this is going to be the small guy that goes with these two. I'm going to cut that out. Next, I'm going to get some of my paper, whatever I'm choosing to make my flower out of. This time I'm doing construction paper. I am going to have a time-lapse video where I make one out of magazines. And when I trace, one thing I want to do is use up the space wisely on my paper. I didn't have a whole lot of paper around the house, like construction paper, so I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to start by tracing it up against the edge and up against the edge. And then I'm going to flip this around so that I can fit another large one in here. When I cut this, I'm going to hold 2 or 3 pieces of this construction paper in my hand so that I can cut 2 or 3 layers. Then so there are my 2 large ones. And then I'm going to squeeze in the mediums. You're going to do 2, hopefully 2, depending on the size of your petal of each. At the end of cutting, your petals might not interlock as nicely as mine are right now. I know the other shapes did not interlock as well. I'm going to go on to the small one, and I'm going to do 2 of these. I want around 10 of each petal. 10 large, 10 medium, 10 small. You might not use all 10, but it's nice to have it there in case you want to make a really full flower. So look how I used up that space. And then this I could use again for some more of these little guys, or maybe another medium if I wanted to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my papers, and when I cut these, instead of holding this big, clunky, giant piece, I'm going to cut this into a more manageable size, and I'm gonna cut these out. You could have a grocery bag next to you if you wanted to put your scraps in right away. I'm just making a little pile right here. You could do this over a little trash can if you have like one of those little trash cans from the bathroom or bedroom. So when I did this for 36 hours straight, it was for a graduation party. Shout out Meg. Shout out Meg. And we made a huge wall of flowers to take pictures in front of. I'm gonna include that picture in this. You could hang these anywhere. You could sit them anywhere. You can make them different sizes, small, like tiny ones, whatever you want. So now that I have those cut out, I'm just gonna put these to the side. I don't think I need those. I wanna make sure I do this with these guys. So I have my 2. You're gonna have 10 of these. I wanna cut a slit in that. See how I did that at the bottom? Because we are going to transform these into more 3D petals. So again, cut a slit, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. Now I'm gonna start gluing these. You can use white glue. I did use white glue to make the purple and the turquoise one. I'm gonna use hot glue for this because why not? I like hot glue. So what I'm gonna do when I hot glue this is I'm gonna take one of these at a time, and I'm just gonna simply put a little bit of glue on one, and I'm going to crisscross those, and it's gonna create a 3D shape. And I'm gonna do that to all of these. It's gonna take a little bit of time. Usually what I do is I will cut my petals out first, all of them, and then I'll sit here and I'll glue them all. So I am gonna get another beverage, and I am going to, all right. So I have all of my petals glued. They are 3D looking because we did that little tab and then we hot glued it. Now what I was doing that you might have seen in my time-lapse video was this. I took just a regular pencil, and I did a little bit of curling on the end. Nothing crazy. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to the direction that you're curling. I'm curling this, so the tab is here, and then it's curling out, so my flower will open. The little guys, though, this is the smallest size. I'm curling most of those in. I did a few on the out, like going out, but I did those curling in like that because I want them to be kind of like closed, like a rosebud, or you know, when the flowers just start budding. So I'm curling those. Now what I want to do is grab, this is just a plastic container. I like to use this for water, whatever. I think I got this at the restaurant store. I traced this out and made a circle. It's about that size. On another piece of cardboard, magazine. This is just construction paper, one of the many colors that I had. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on the inside with these little guys. And I usually work symmetrical, meaning whatever I do on one side, I do on the other. So I'm gonna take one of these guys. Let's see if I can get my hot glue gun up here. And I'm gonna put a little glue on the bottom, like that. And I am going to be very careful. This is not a high temp hot glue gun, so it's not gonna burn, but it does sting a little bit. So there we go, have those two glued together. And then I'm gonna work on going on either side again. So there's 3. Now I can do this in evens or odds, totally up to you. It's the inside. I'm also paying attention to the colors. Since my colors don't match, I'm trying to make sure that I have a little bit of all the colors at each step. So there's my center bud. And I'm gonna keep going with this, and I'm just going to stagger. So what that means is, see how there's a gap here? I'm gonna put one right there. So it staggers like bricks would. And I'm gonna keep doing that. And once I get finished with all of these little guys, then I'm gonna move on to the medium size. And I'm gonna move on to the large. And I am using my hand to kind of hold the center base. A little dab will do ya. You don't need a lot. Again, I'm using hot glue, but you can use white glue. White glue just takes a little bit longer to set, so you have to hold it a little bit longer. The hot glue sets almost instantly. And I'm just gonna keep going around. If I think I have enough of these little guys, I could use them all. I'm gonna keep moving. I want another black petal. And I'm gonna do some green ones. I like the idea of this like multicolored flower. The other ones are just single color. Ah, that's hot, that's hot, that's hot. I'm working on a piece of cardboard so that my hot glue gun isn't leaking hot glue all over my dining room table. All right, so there's all of my little petals. See. Now I'm gonna move on to the medium-sized ones. And we're just gonna add a little bit more glue to that because these are a little bit bigger. And then moving on to the medium size. I'm gonna fast forward. Okay, so now I have my flower with my small and mediums just glued all around. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this circle that we cut out earlier and we're gonna glue it directly to the center. A little dab will do ya. And I'm gonna just put my fingers on the inside of the little flower bud that we made. So I have that. I did not use any of my large ones. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start putting some glue on these, both on the top and the bottom. Top. And I'm gonna slide them under, and I'm just gonna keep going around doing that. Top, bottom. I'm gonna slide that right in between. You do have a little bit of wiggle room, like seconds between the glue drying, so if it's not placed perfectly, you still have a little time to kind of see that. So what I'm doing is I'm just spinning this guy. I did burn myself a few times. Be careful if you're using a hot glue gun. I'm just kind of filling in any gaps that I see. I'm looking at my color too, because again, I have random colors. I want to make sure that I have an equal amount. Put some green. Need another glue stick. Some purple. So it's kind of lotus. Looks like a lotus flower that is going on here. So now what I could do is I could make a leaf if I wanted to. And just make it a flat instead of 3D. Just leave it flat. Could do that. Whatever I want. This is about the same size as my purple little tulip. The petal difference, let's look at the size. Those are about the size. This is the other one. It's a little bit smaller. So yeah, that's how I make the paper flowers. I'm gonna have a couple tutorials on paper flowers this week. That's just one of them. This is probably more for middle school, high school, adult age. But yeah, paper flowers, super fun, super easy, and occupies your time. Thank you.